For this project, we're going to make a radial design. These are sometimes called mandalas, but it is just a design that repeats in a round fashion. So you'll need a piece of paper and some sort of circle to trace. I like this one because it's as big as my paper. It does have a little thingy down here, but I will fix that. You'll need a pencil, a Sharpie if you have one. You can do this without a Sharpie, and something to color or paint with. I'm going to use colored pencils. So the first thing that you need to do is carefully outline your circle. I'm going to skip over that little bump. Sometimes the best tracers have little things that you have to skip. And I'll just pull that off and connect that. Okay, before we do anything else, we're actually going to cut this out. Try to cut as neatly as you can. We're going to be folding this, and you want this to line up as precisely as possible. The next step for this is folding. So I'm going to fold this into either quarters or eighths, depending on how complicated you want your design to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold it in half as precisely as I can. I'm going to try and make those edges match up. If you want a less complicated design, you're going to fold this into quarters. So I'm just going to pick this up and fold it as precisely as I can. And if you'd like to make a design that's a little more complex, you can fold this one more time. I will be demonstrating how to make the more complex design, but if you're making the less complicated one, your design will only have 4 sections instead of 8. So when I do my design, I'm gonna do a design that repeats 8 times. If you're doing the less complicated one, you're going to use a quarter instead of an eighth of your circle, and your design will repeat 4 times. The next step for this is to create your design. I chose a symbol of something that I love, which is nature, and I tried to make my design symbolize nature. So if you want to pick a symbol of something that you love or something that describes you, that's one option. You could simply make a design with lines, shapes, or patterns, or anything that speaks to you. So this is easier with a Sharpie. So what I'm going to do is outline this with my Sharpie. I outlined my pencil drawing with a Sharpie just to make it easier to trace, because I'm going to be tracing this 8 times or 7 times. If you do not have a Sharpie, you can do this just with a pencil. It will work just fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get and transfer this design onto this section. So what I want to do is just fold my design underneath so that I can see it through my paper. You can sort of see that if I put it at the right angle. And I'm going to walk over to my window with the sunlight coming through today, and I'm going to trace this design. So you can see that my radial design or my circular design is starting to take form after I've traced this at the window. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my window. I'm going to fold the part that I've already done underneath and just keep moving from one section to the next until I have all 8 sections done. Now, if you are doing a quarter design, you will have to do this less often. So that is a choice you would want to make before you get to this step of tracing. This is my radial design created after I traced at the window. Oh, it looks like I missed my rainbow. I may have to go back and do that. But the next step to finish this up is just to give it some color. And since this is a design that repeats, you may want to also repeat your colors. So I'm working on my sun, and I may go around. This is my working process. You might have a different working process. I'm gonna go around and color in all those lines the same color all the way around my design to create that sun. Colored pencils are a really good choice for this because you can get some nice details. But if you don't have those, markers will work just fine. Crayons, whatever you have on hand. Okay, so that would be one way you could do this, is by repeating your colors. Or let's say you wanted to do something a little different. Maybe you want each flower to be a different color on your design. You could also do like a pattern. So I could have a blue flower, and then maybe a dark blue flower, and then maybe I'll go back to my light blue flower, and then do my dark blue flower. It's up to you. I want you to enjoy coloring this. Radial designs have a lot of relaxation kind of built into them by the way that you make them and the way you color them. So just relax and enjoy. I know you have all week to finish this project, and it does take some time to do all of the tracing. So if you need a break, because I know my arm was getting a little tired when I was doing that, take a little break and you can work on this when you have time during the week. And please share your picture of it with me when you're finished.